Okay, so on the left here we have a PSP 2000 aftermarket Chinese reproduction thing for the headphone jack, and the image out, and PSP specific headphone set that you can have some buttons to control the PSP with. On the right there we have a stock one. I already made a video about this, but the reproduction one doesn't fit, and you can check out that video. But TLDR, basically there is a plug up here. As you can see, it plugs into the motherboard, and the plug is too tall on this thing, so instead of sitting as at the place it should be, the motherboard is now pushed up slightly, and that compresses the home button, which causes problems. And also, perhaps more importantly, the motherboard is pushed up, and the design of the PSP 2000 requires the left joystick and the motherboard to be pressed together for a good connection. So the left analog stick is now disconnected. So yeah, even if you don't close the case of your PSP 2000 completely, you'll still lose your left thumbstick completely, which is a no-go. So after that video, I attempted a repair myself, and it didn't go too well. And hopefully this video of me talking about it will help you avoid these pitfalls that I have encountered. So basically the idea was that I will transplant the lower proper plug on the original one onto the reproduction one. So my original board is broken. It has corrosion in the headphone jack portion. So the plug is good, the headphone jack isn't. I decided to transplant the plug onto this. It turns out no, the board itself, the PCB board itself on the reproduction is just slightly thicker. So even if I put the original plug onto this, it will still be slightly taller. Although at that point you can probably pad the left joystick a little bit to make it work. The problem is that these pins are way too small. These pins, the SMD soldering points to solder the plug onto the PCB board, is too small. Basically, I tried really hard to transplant it, and it did work, albeit the image out, which is the main function I'm concerned with, is blue, and my PSP 2000 keeps refusing to turn on. I have to remove and reconnect the battery on it several times for it to finally work. And I suspect that the reason why is because these pins are shorted. And the reason why they are shorted is because underneath this plug you can imagine these metal pins poking out from underneath. Anyway, the pins are very close together and tend to pull solder underneath the plug where you cannot see them, and excessive solder underneath the black plastic plug is what causes the shorting issue. So perhaps this daughter board was shorting out the PSP, causing the no turning on problem and the blue screen problem. The image out is, it displays an image of setting the date, but the screen is blue. There's like a channel of colors missing or something. I know it's shorted out instead of the reproduction having, faulty components in it, because the image out was working perfectly before I transplanted the plug. The problem was the left joystick and the home button being pressed down, not the image out. Another thing that I attempted to do was that I thought that the tall plug is garbage anyway, so I desoldered it and I tried to use a file to modify it to be shorter. The problem is that I can't file down on top because it has these stops on the sides of it. So even if I file down on top, it will not allow the motherboard to sit lower. So I filed it from underneath, and the way that it works is that these metal strips come up or into the plug, and that's how the metal connection works. So I decided to remove them with a tiny plier, and then I'll shorten the base of this plug and then replug the metal pieces. And that didn't work because the metal pieces are bent out of shape, and now they are bending forward and at all kinds of weird angles, so that clearly won't work. So attempt number 2, the other side, I decided to use solder to attach all the pins together, and I decided to not remove them and use a file to file down the plastic on that side, and the file cut some of the pins. So that clearly is not the answer. You cannot, with or without the pin still in it, file down on the bottom of the excessively tall plug. So those are the 2 problems I've encountered when attempting this fix, and it seems that even though it's scary to desolder the headphone pins, that is probably the way to go. Thanks for watching.